The new Ferris brand Aetherius are interesting because unlike the previous Aetherius, they were made, I would imagine, with a completely different goal in mind. I don't think Ferris is trying to kill herself, but also as the Erasion sex, even though named in reference to the Erasion sex, it's not the same as like these people that had their own lives and origins before they got into the group and now they have a code name. The people in it, relatively, that is their name. And Zero, we still don't know about Zero. It seems from how Midnight was talking that at some point Rain gained the personality of Zero, which makes me very curious. But we were demonstrated some of their magics in this last chapter. We weren't given like a full chapter on just focusing on one. We just saw a little bit on the members of the Reaction Sex, not even all of them, just showing what their magic was and showing an ability of it. The first one we had was Bird, and Bird uses black sky magic, as he calls it, which name, like I already said, like this dude seems like a Wendy opponent, even more so because this I would imagine within the verse of Fairy Tail, this is like the first, this would be like the first logical assessment of like varied sky magic that you get. If you got like, if you had base sky magic, which again would still, I would imagine, be pretty good. If you were going to try and advance it, any of the Slayer types would be really difficult. We do know, obviously, as we've seen, Sky God Slayer magic, and then obviously with Wendy, Sky Dragon Slayer magic. But Bird has black sky magic, so he has just this black magic variant at the core of what, you know, the base sky magic idea is in Tree. And the first thing he does is it just, you know, he just blinds it. Seems like when you're in his area, you can't see. And then he just goes for melee attacks. I'm very curious as to what other abilities he's going to have, because I would assume that the sky magic, he'd be able to do things in similar to Wendy, but maybe instead of buffs, he specifically does debuffs. But it's, or maybe it's like he does debuffs that on opponents that give him buffs, because it would be like, you know, some inverted version of sky magic. I don't know. It's very intriguing because he's the most basic looking out of all of them with Bird. And even his style, he seems to be more comedic in how he talks. He does a lot of bird jokes, but he looks actually pretty cool when he's using this magic. He's like spreading it out. He just looks like some shadow bird creature. It just looks really badass. He is a shadow version of Moltres in this form. And not really, but it looks like in the panel, I would imagine, if you see him at any point, just because he's going to be he's going to be hanging out with the whole shadow motif, just kind of like playing up. But it doesn't seem to be like shadows. It seems to be more of like he's applying the effect to the sky, so you just can't see him while he's in the air. So I would assume that with Racer, it's similar to how Racer's magic affects everyone within an AoE. It would be like the effect of, you know, kind of like how Simon had it, but with it in AoE, but only people within the AoE. If you're outside it, I don't imagine that you would be able to, you would be affected by it. It would just look normal to you. But I also believe that this is just the first effect. It would be very strange if they just had these like basic effects like starting out, because this is a very, very not serious power, especially like when we have abilities like this in the verse, but then we have people like Jacob who have a much better stealthing kind of like weird power to a higher degree. So it'd be unfortunate if this is where Bird kind of capped out on. But again, I'd imagine he would have a good lot more. And it's looking at stuff like we're with Wendy, because I don't really see Racer doing too well here. Granted, none of the Sace are doing too well in their fights. We didn't see Gate or Gaia in this one, but we ended the previous chapter, opened this chapter with Bird. So it seems like Bird, I'm guessing, is going to be the one that we end up seeing the most of first. And he's going to be the one that like gives us some information, because I'm guessing that he'll be a talker, and we'll see a little bit more of just like his display over the next chapter that's going to kind of lay that out. But with Racer, I don't really see him like getting too well into this fight, because he doesn't seem like he gained much outside of what he already had, and what he already had was pretty limited. Like, he's just, slowing people in speed. Nothing kind of crazy. He didn't gain any like crazy new techniques or new magics on top of that. I think that's where Racer is so kind of stunted. And the only member of them that's even a spot that I would say is doing potential at any point is Cobra, but I'm going to save that for talking another video. But as it were, Bird's just, to me, again, he gives off the presence of somebody that is going to need to be taken out from at least a chunk up. And so if Racer ends up pulling through with this, I'll be surprised. But I much more see Wendy, because like at the end of the day, Racer right now is getting hurt decently, and like he's got his one ability up first. He's just got this blinding ability, and that's all he's got. And really, when you look at it, and this is something that I actually just didn't notice until this going through it real fast, is when he goes to attack Bird and like counterattack him, he swings in like that like dark kind of layers there, but when you see it from Racer again, there's nothing. So I'm guessing it's just that power that makes him blind, or what if it just like affects like your sunglasses or something ridiculous? It makes it so it like super envelops the shade. I don't know. I doubt it's something that ridiculous, even with like a goofy power. Either way, like he's doing better than I would have anticipated, but I also thought he was going to be fighting more of the main cast people first. But it's looking like that's going to be something for him in a little while. I personally believe that that some of the side characters are going to be getting fights with the Sace, but it's not going to be the Sex, but it's not going to be for most of the Sace. With Cobra, I think Cobra probably will get a redone, because if it's not Cobra that's going to be fighting Blade, I'm trying to think who I would just be like. I feel like Suzaku or Gray would be really cool, but I don't really know if that's going to be the case, just because Cobra's in like a counter spot. So this just seems to be like it's going to be a Cobra overcoming his limitations and getting to a new level kind of fight for him in the future. So right now, comment below and tell me what your thoughts about Bird. Like I said, I had the lowest expectations for him going into the last, relatively, since the Oracion Sex has debuted and he's debuted, but he's doing pretty fine. He's done better than I expected, so I give him props for that. So I'm looking forward to seeing where exactly he's at once we get to the next step of events. But other than that, comment below, tell me your thoughts are about this, and check out some other videos. I'm gonna do one on Blade really fast too, so maybe by the time that this video's out, it'll be the day after. So if you listen to this the day after this one, the Blade one will be there too. Bye.